All right, in this video, we're going to cover the last major Indian Wars conflict. This is the end of the Indian Wars, okay? So what happens in 1889, Sitting Bull comes back from Canada, okay? He has a vision. The gods have given him a vision, he says. And his vision is that the reason why the white men are in charge and the reason why the Indians are starving and the buffalo are all dead is because the Indians listened to the white men, because they chose to assimilate. So what he said would happen is that what we have to do is start something called the ghost dance, okay? It's a ritual in Indian culture. So if they go ahead and they dance around, they dress in their native clothes, and they start praying to the gods again, then Sitting Bull promised to the Indian people that all the buffalo would come back to life, the white man would be driven away, and they would have their happy hunting grounds back, okay? That's what his promise was to the people. It didn't quite work out like that, okay? So imagine Carlisle boarding school, for instance. You got all these Native Americans that have been assimilated. They speak English, they act like a white settler. And all of a sudden, this medicine man, Sitting Bull, promises them their old life back. So hundreds of thousands of Native Americans rebelled in 1889. They rebelled against assimilation. They rebelled against the United States. And they come back right here, and they are going back to their old way of life. They put their old clothes on, they're doing these rituals, and the white people in the area, they think that a war is coming, okay? In all actuality, the Indians were just going to dance until the white men left. But anyway, so tribal police, this is the Sioux tribal police. These are Indians. They go because they got paid off by America to go and arrest their chief, Sitting Bull. So Sitting Bull is in tribal jail, okay? And he gets shot while trying to escape. Now, what I mean by that, Sitting Bull had his own cell, okay? Every couple of days, they would move him to a different cell so they can clean his cell. So this was normal. So they told Sitting Bull, turn around, we're gonna handcuff you and move you to another cell. So he turns around, gets handcuffed, and as they're leading him out to the next cell, one of the guards yells, "Stop, he's trying to escape." And they shot him in the back while he was handcuffed. This was done by his own people, okay? So anyway, that's gonna be the end of the ghost dance thing right there. But the last major real battle of the Indian Wars is right here, okay? The Battle of Wounded Knee. All right, so the 7th Cavalry is back. This is General Custer's unit, but General Custer's dead. The whole 7th Cavalry had been wiped out. They have a new 7th Cavalry now. And they're out there in the Great Plains looking for revenge for what happened to the 1st 7th Cavalry, okay? So they run across a group of about 350 Sioux. There's women and children and men all in this group, and it's a very cold day. And the men are armed. They're out on a hunting party, at least that was their story. So the 7th Cavalry surrounds this group, and they tell them, okay, we want you to hand over all your weapons, and we're going to inspect them, and this is going to be peaceful, we're not going to hurt you. And we're going to write down all the serial numbers, because if this weapon is used in another attack against Americans, we'll know it's you this time. So the Indians complied. They all got in a circle. The Americans surrounded them in a circle. And the Americans started setting up tents and stuff because, you know, they said it would be a while. So as an Indian came, they gave the rifle. The rifle was then unloaded, and the white men kept their ammunition, wrote down the serial numbers, and gave the Indians back their weapons. Now, there's a reason why they're giving them their weapons back unloaded, okay? So after all the Indians had been virtually disarmed, but they still had their guns with no ammo, and all this was over, the lead commander in charge of the 7th Cavalry says, okay, open fire. And those tents that they had set up, they undid the tents, they pulled the sheet off, and they had these huge Gatling guns, which are basically the modern well, their modern day equivalent of a machine gun, where you crank the handle and the barrels rotate and it shoots people. So the Battle of Wounded Knee is not really a battle. If you look right here, it is in parentheses. What do you call a battle whenever one side has weapons and the other side has no weapons and they get killed? That was on your basic U.S. history vocabulary test. You call it a massacre. But because white men owned the newspapers, they called it the Battle of Wounded Knee. Okay? All this stuff is actually, look, if you look in the picture right here, you can look up pictures of the Battle of Wounded Knee and see this Native American, he has a rifle here. He has a rifle right here. So in the newspapers, the pictures that were used showed Indians with rifles laying on the ground, as if they had fought back. That's not the case necessarily. There was some controversy. Some people say that some Indians did have some bullets that they hadn't handed over and they were shooting back, but I don't know, I wasn't there. This stuff is all covered, a lot of this stuff that I've been talking about is covered in Helen Hunt Jackson's book, A Century of Dishonor, which basically goes through all these stories and shows how over and over for all of the 1800s, basically, the Native Americans were really taken advantage of and lied to by our government. Okay?